like I always say, anybody that misses can watch the playthrough. I ain't gonna be deleting it. You know, just wait for a couple people or one person, maybe. Okay. All right. That. Okay, but anyway, how y'all doing? Timothy Wilkes here from We Are the Church Ministries. Hope y'all having a good New Year Eve, a New Year. Hope y'all have a fantastic New Year. But God gave me a revelation about New Year's and December and January and all those. And what should we do to prepare for the next year? Because a lot of us have New Year's resolutions and different things like that, but He gave me the way to properly prepare in the spirit. That way we can go over certain lessons, learn from certain lessons, and change our mindset so we won't have to keep repeating the same lessons over and over again, so we can make better decisions for the new year. Told me that December, one thing with December and January. December is for reflecting. Basically, you go over a lot of decisions that you've made, and all the lessons that you probably learned, or lessons that you didn't learn, or where the things that you might need to work on. And January is for correcting. A lot of churches do fast, and a lot of churches fast. And they might go on a 21-day fast or a 31-day fast, or a lot of churches do that. And this can actually be used for that purpose. This could help you on your journey when you fasting, because if you're just reading, or if you're just fasting without spending time with God, or without, it's usually just a diet. Or if it doesn't have a purpose to it, it won't reflect on your year any. But if you take the revelation that God gave, it'll help you out this year. It'll help you out through this year, this coming up year, because this year is gone. But it's gonna help you out. Like I said, it says December is for reflecting, January is for correcting. When you're reflecting in December, you could do it today. If there's today, before the day is over with, it shouldn't take too long. But what you do in December, you reflect. You basically go over throughout the year, write down where you went wrong at, decisions that you made. Let's say, for example, I'm gonna use this example. I was in a situation at my workplace that caused me to get angry, lose my temper. I lost my job. You can write that down. Didn't happen to me. It's just an example. You can write it down. When you write that down, that's a lesson. You might have 5 or 6 of them. You might have okay, I invited the wrong person in my life. They stayed too long, and it allowed me to be in a season of depression when I didn't have to be, because it allowed some storms to come out in my life that didn't have to be there because of what I allowed in my life. The person I entertained, you might have allowed the wrong person to come in your life. You might have said some things you shouldn't have said. You might have misjudged somebody. All of these things, you write them down. Any lesson that you had to learn. You might have things that you might need to work on. All that stuff can be included in this list. And say, and once you get this list, you write that down. You put a check mark next to the lesson that you've learned already. Everything, the stuff that you feel like you learned, stuff you feel like you corrected. Because now, like I said, you use self-evaluation. And you have to hold yourself accountable. You have to be willing to hold yourself accountable for the things that you do, for the things, for your actions. Just don't work if you're being dishonest with yourself and being dishonest with with your decision making. Like I said, any poor decision that you may have made, if a relationship didn't work out, what was your act? What did you do? Did you entertain the wrong person? Did you what was it that you did? Whatever it is, because you write down your weak areas. Your weak area may be faith, like part of this list. Your weak area may be faith. I'm weak. I realize I'm weak in my faith. There could be a number on your list. Like I say, situations, bad choices, areas of weakness. Any one of those can be included on this list. I'm weak in my faith. I noticed I was weak in my faith this year. I noticed I wasn't being sober minded. I noticed that I lacked anything. I noticed that, I need to work on. I'm a little too selfish. It could be, like I say, it could be a number. You could put anything on here that you might need to work on. Like I said, you put a check mark next to the things that you may have corrected. Even if you feel like you fixed it, even if you feel like you resolved it, a problem that you've noticed throughout the year, if you feel like you fixed it and resolved it, put a check mark next to it. If you still need to work on it, you just leave it checklist. But the purpose of this, I'm gonna explain the purpose, and when I get to January, I'm gonna explain the whole details of it. And then you have to meditate on this list. You meditate on it, and you can refine it. You can make corrections. You start out with a draft. You make corrections. You find it. Whatever you've done. Like I said, anything. We all got a list. I got a list. I got to write mine after this. We all got one. Everybody got a list. So if you say you ain't got a list, you lying. Because that means you've been perfect all year long. And that's no. You hadn't been. Don't lie to yourself now. We all got a list. I got to write one. But like I said, you check ones where you think you learned from, you think you've grown from that, you think you outgrown that, you think you won't make the same mistake again, put a check next to it. And like I said, you meditate on it. And like I said, you make corrections on it. You basically perfecting this list. You make corrections on it. Now January, the instructions for January, because you reflected in December. You did all your reflections. You wrote around your list of bad decisions, lessons you had to learn, lessons you may not have learned, lessons you're still struggling with, areas of weakness, things like that. Whatever, you putting it down. You reflecting on this. Okay, I still need to work on this here. I still need to work on my patience. I still need to work on showing up on time. I'm always late. I still need to work on watching who I entertain in my life. I still entertain the wrong people. I still let the wrong people in my life. Those things, all those things can be included. I complained a little bit too much. I worried a little bit too much. I compared myself to other people a little bit too much. Anything you put on there. Any weakness, any area of weakness. I'm struggling with lust. I'm struggling with whatever it is. Put it on there. I'm struggling with an addiction. Something with it. Put it on your list. That way now you know what you need to because a lot of churches fast in January. And even if you're not going to church, this will help you. This will help you even more if you're not going to church. But if you part of a church family that fasts and do all that, this will help you. Just give your fast some purpose. A lot of people fast on January. It's a good way to go, and I'm explaining why. I used to didn't think nothing was. I used to think it had a purpose. I didn't even believe in that kind of stuff. I didn't fast or do it, but it has a purpose. These guys show me the purpose of why a lot of churches do it. Why a lot of spiritual leaders do this kind of thing in January. But you start the process in December by reflecting. Everything that needs to be worked on, you reflect. January, now we in January, fasting. Or whatever you're trying to do, however you spend your January. long as you working towards correcting the stuff on this list. You take this list, you study these items. I'm show you how to study the items though. As far as spiritual wise. You got a Bible app, you got a physical Bible. If you don't have a Bible app, download it. If you have a physical Bible, either way is good. What you do, the stuff he gave me, it's powerful, man. You find the scripture, you find the wisdom now. Say, I entertain the wrong people in my life. That's an example of things you have. I entertained the wrong people. I stuck around the wrong people. I was in a toxic place for too long, or I was running from God, from what he was telling me to do, or I was lacking in my faith. And all last year, it was a situation where I didn't have the trust in God that I should have had. You pick out one of those lessons on your list, whatever it may be, the one that's unchecked. We're going to talk about the checked ones later. But the ones that's unchecked, what you do, you find a scripture of wisdom pertaining to that situation. Like if you weaken your faith, you find a scripture of wisdom that deals with faith. Like say you got angry and thought somebody lost your job or something, or you lost your cool. You dealing with anger, struggling with anger. You write that situation down. You find a scripture of wisdom pertaining to that anger, pertaining to that situation. How you deal with anger. How do you deal with faith? Or let's say I was blessed with some money, but I blew it. I'm not financially where I need to be. I'm financially illiterate. You put that down. And then you write it down. New sheet of paper now. In January, you take out a new sheet of paper. You don't use the same paper. Use a new sheet of paper. Whichever area of weakness you wanna start at, you write it down. One of those, it could be one of those, whatever example you have for a weakness, for a lesson that you had to learn or you hadn't learned, a lesson that you need to learn. You write a scripture of wisdom pertaining to that. And what you do, you have to, you find a story. You find a story pertaining to that lesson. You got a scripture of wisdom. I'll tell you what to do with that scripture. With the scripture of wisdom don't have to do with the story. Just like my favorite wise scripture is trusting in the Lord with all thy heart, lean not on thy own understanding, but in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path. That's my favorite one. That's been taking me through my whole life. That one. Lean on that helps me seek the Lord whenever I'm in a situation I don't know what's going on. It helps me seek God when I'm struck. That's an area of weakness that I have. So I have a scripture. So when you're faced with an area of weakness, now you have a scripture to go to. That area of weakness, whatever that area is, because I struggle sometimes dealing with faith, sometimes questioning God, that kind of stuff. So I use that scripture, trusting the Lord with all our heart. And lean not on our own understanding. That's why I use that scripture. And I use that scripture to help me through those problems. Because his word will help you in your areas of weakness. His word, it'll strengthen your areas of weakness. So that's why I say when you write that scripture, that's going to help you. I use that. And that helps me out a lot. I'm telling you. But back to what I was saying, the story, you found a story in the Bible. You might have a story of Job. You might have a story of the Hebrew children, fire furnace. You might have a story of Saul. You might have a story of Abraham. A lot. Whatever story it is. You find a story pertaining to that situation where you had to learn a lesson from. You find a story in there pertaining to that. You got the scripture of wisdom, so now you got a story. So now you study, you read that story, you look at the outcome. It might take you a couple of days to read that story. It might take you a day. It might take you, you read the story and look at the outcome. You read that story. Now, who were you in that story? Find a character that you relate to. You might say, okay, I was Jonah in that story. Because I was Jonah because I was running. God gave me a calling, and I was running. I wasn't doing, He gave me an assignment, and I ran. He put me in a place where I had nothing. I couldn't do nothing but say yes. He put me in a place where I couldn't run. That's a story for a lesson. I ran from God. I didn't give Him my yes. That's one. That's just an example. I'm just using an example. You find a story, you find a character that you can relate to, and why can't you? How come you can relate to this character? How come? What attaches you to this character? Just like I used the example as Jonah. I was weak, just like with Abraham when he started to lose faith, and when God gave him a word about he was going to have a child, he tried to do it on his own. I tried to move ahead of God. I was Abraham in this story because I tried to move ahead of God and do it on my own, and it didn't turn out right. I wound up making the situation worse. Or I was Adam in this situation because I didn't obey the Lord. I listened to other people's influences and what the enemy was telling me, and I fell because I wasn't listening to what the Lord was telling me, and I made my life worse. It's not an example. Not an example. That's how you can relate to it. Now you know where you went wrong at. You can tie it into your life. That's why I say you do the story, find a character, whatever character you are in that story. You able to, when I say you answer the question, what makes you relate to this person? Now you tying it back into your situation. That's how you study this. That's how you study your areas of weakness. What ties you into this person? Now, and then the scriptural wisdom, it shows you how to handle that situation in the future. When it comes up in the future, it shows you how to handle it in a better way. Now the situation come up, now the scripture come to you. You done wrote it down, you done meditated on it, you got a story that you can relate to. Now you got a character you relate. I was this person. I'm not gonna be Abraham this time. I'm gonna be another person. I'm gonna be better. I'm gonna do better. I'm gonna do it different. I'm not gonna do what he did. I'm not gonna mess up what this person messed up. Vicarious learning. That's what it's called. You learning from other people mistakes. We learning from, because it's everything that we do, every situation we come across, it's people in the Bible that's made these mistakes. So what you do, you're learning from these people. You're not allowing yourself to keep having to relearn the same stuff, keep having to go over the same mistakes over. That's why a lot of times, year after year, our life, we don't go nowhere. We don't advance. We keep falling in the same trap. Keep making the same bad decisions because we don't reflect and we don't correct. We don't reflect. We don't write nothing down. We don't try to acknowledge what we did wrong. We might try to blame other people. We might try to go off the rail. If this person hadn't did this person hadn't did. But if they was in your life for a year messing your life up, why did you allow it that long? Why did you let that go on as long as it did? You acknowledge what it ain't. It's not letting them off the hook. You holding yourself accountable for your decision. That way, you're reflecting. Now you can correct. Okay, what I need to do different. How I need to deal with this in the future so it don't happen again. How I need to, because we all gonna mess up. We all got, like I said, everybody got a list. Everybody got people that they shouldn't entertain. Everybody got situations they could have avoided. Everybody got where a situation that may have happened, you may have handled it different. It may be a situation that hit you out of nowhere, beyond your control, caught you off guard. You may have handled it wrong. It's okay, but we still have to learn from that, because in case it come up again, you don't want to keep making the same mistake. You don't want to, if it hit you again, you want to be ready for it. You want to, okay, this doesn't happen before. This happened last year. I did it wrong. I'm ready now. I'm ready this time. It might hit you off guard, but it's okay. But it's all a learning process. It's all a learning. It's all so we can learn from it. We can't, saying if it hit you off guard the first time, fool me once, shame on me. Shame on you. Fool me twice. If it keep hitting you, you keep letting the same thing get you. Now now that's a lack of accountability. That's what it turns into. Because now you're not holding yourself accountable. You're not So it's like I said, it's not about being perfect. It's about being accountable. It's about being accountable. And once you're able to hold yourself accountable for your decisions, for your mistakes, for your shortcomings, because God usually tests us in areas that we need to work on. That's why certain things hit us out of nowhere, because areas that we need to work on, that we need to improve on, He's just trying to show us. That's why I say you study it like this. You study, okay, it's something biblical that's going to explain it. Okay, I went wrong over here. I went wrong in this area. You can relate to it. Now you got a story you can relate to. You got a person you can relate to. Now you're learning. Now you're growing. That's growth. That's maturity. Now you're able to mature. You're not blaming other people no more. Now you're correcting. You're learning what He's trying to teach. Now you're able to grow. You can't grow if you continue to blame outside forces. You blame the devil. You're blaming your mama down the street. You're blaming Aunt Pearl. You're blaming Popeyes for not having the chicken sandwich made. You blaming you. You're holding yourself accountable. Okay, I let this person in my life. I know I didn't know what kind of person they was in the beginning, but now I can recognize. I can recognize what kind of person this is. That's how we go. A lot of times, you got people that go from bad relationship to bad relationship, a bad situation to bad situation, a bad decision to bad decision. They never reflect. They never correct. When you reflect and when you correct, you're not going to keep learning the same stuff over and over. Because now you learn, when you know better, you do better. Because the only way your life will get better, only our lives will get better, we change our mindset. Change your mindset, you have to study. You study your mistakes. You study your decisions. You study your shortcomings. You study your weaknesses. You study your areas of weakness. Once you study that, now as you're studying these areas of weakness where you need work on, you studying it. Hey, now you got stories you can relate to. You can meditate on it. You can do this while you're fast. Like I said, you can do this while you're fasting with your church. You can do this while you're fasting at home because you have to purge anyway. You have to detox spiritually, just like a physical body detox. You have to detox anyway. So it's good that you do it. You know what I'm saying? It has its purpose to it. It's not just doing it just to be doing it. People can fast for different reasons. People can fast for miracles from God. People can fast from a lot of different reasons. But this is one reason. This is one way you can use it. The way it won't feel like a chore if you having to do it like I said with your church or something like that. Or it's to give it some purpose. If you don't really know, because a lot of people don't know the whole meaning behind it. Some people don't know. And these kind of things, God's pleased with that. When you actually try to make effort to making your life better, to do things, to try to He'll move on your behalf, because now you're putting in work to try to make a better life for yourself. And like I said, different situations you may not have handled, different opportunities you may have missed. And once you learn from that, you can spot it again. You might be able to create that opportunity again. It'll come along again. Okay, I'm gonna jump on it now. I missed the opportunity last time. I'm gonna jump on it this year. I missed that boat last year. I'm jumping on it this year. I made a wrong turn this year. I'm gonna make the right turn this year. I'm gonna make the right decision this year. I'm getting my blessing this year, because your mind. You changing your mind. Your mind now. Your mindset has changed. And what do you do with the ones that's not checked? What you do, you double check them. Meaning you go back over the process I told you about, finding the scripture wisdom, finding a story, finding a character. The ones that you checked, you go over, you double check them using that process. Once you do that, if it line up with biblical, the way you resolve that problem line up with biblical, you know you really learned from it, grew from it. But if it don't quite line up, you probably just got lucky. You don't know. We don't know. You might have just got lucky, because sometimes you pay for mistakes. Sometimes you might be protected by grace. But if it don't line up with biblical, don't line up with what He's saying, with what God is saying, you may make that same decision, try to resolve it that same way, and have to pay for it down the road. That's why I say you double check and make sure it lines up with scripture, with biblical, with what God is saying. Because if it doesn't, then you may want to try to tweak it a little bit to make it line up. I handle it that way. I got God protect me that time. He might not protect me next time. I got to try to make it right. You double checking it. You always double check your work. You always go behind yourself. That's what the checked items for. You just double checking. You making sure that it line up. Now you studying. You doing self evaluations, accountability. Now you growing and you seeking God's counsel. You seeking His counsel, seeking His wisdom concerning those situations. You get the logos and rhema word pertaining to those situations. That's why I say you meditate on them. You meditate on them, because now you're able to get clear understanding, and that definitely I'm definitely gonna be doing it. Do it when I get off here, like I said. But it's just so you can like I said, do a self-evaluation so you can grow, so you can mature. Because that's what it's all about. That's the only way we're gonna grow. It's the only way our lives gonna change for the better. It's the only way, we want things to be different. We always say next year gonna be better, but like I say, time without work is procrastination. If you don't put no work in, if you don't try to study, try to figure out where you went wrong, you don't try to do an examination or try to evaluate or try to hold yourself accountable, take responsibility, it's not going to grow. It's not going to get nowhere. Like I said, December is reflecting, and January is correcting. You taking steps towards correcting. So the next year, because the next year you don't know what next year gonna bring. If you hadn't learned from your old lessons, if you hadn't reflected on your old lessons, and then new stuff come on top, that's how people get overwhelmed. That's how you take on more than you can handle. That's how you get burned out on stuff. That's why a lot of because you got old stuff and then new stuff steady coming at you. New things steady piling on. It ain't gonna stop. New stuff's gonna steady be hitting you. You're gonna steady be faced with new situations, new trials, new tribulations. You're gonna be making new mistakes and old mistakes. If you ain't learned from your old ones, now you got new ones on top of the old. It's just like you got a house you ain't doing maintenance on. You got the old problems, then you're going to have new problems come on top of that. That's how you get overwhelmed. That's how you get loaded down. That's how you get put behind. That's how you get set back. That's how people take on more than they can handle. They want to have a nervous breakdown. They want to lose their mind because you reflect and correct. You take an inventory of all that other stuff, all that old stuff. Then when you start February, you start that off with a different mindset. Now, any new thing come along, if you have to take it on, fine. If you might handle it wrong, that's something else you can write down in December. If you do this every year, you'll know, okay, I improved on that. I learned from, now you can, because new stuff going to be coming all the time. You don't want to get overwhelmed. You don't want to be loaded down with a bunch of stuff. That's just not what that's not what we want to do. So we always have to keep up when it comes to that. That's why he was showing me about this list. It blew my mind when he explained it to me. He gave me a revelation on it. It pretty much blew my mind. Like I said, a scriptural wisdom. That's how you study scriptural wisdom. You have a story related to your situation, and then you have a character. What character do you represent in that story? And why? Why do you represent that character? And the scriptural wisdom will tell you how you're supposed to handle it in the future. So now you got something to meditate on. You got something to go off of. You got some. Now you able to. The only thing else left after that, because when that situation come up again, because you find a scripture. Like I said, I have favorite scriptures when it comes to stuff. You find some. You might find a list of scriptures. It might be a number of scriptures. It might be a multitude of scriptures pertaining to your situation. You just find one you like and stick with it. Write it down under that situation on a new sheet of paper. On a new sheet of paper. Write that situation. Write that scripture. Now you have You have that scripture. Whenever that situation come up again, you have that scripture. That scripture, it might pop in your head when you see that scripture. Like when they come to faith, I think of that scripture I mentioned. Trust in the Lord with all thy heart. I think of that one. Like I said, it's always like being sober-minded. Areas of weakness I found scripture. I practice what I preach. It's just he's telling me in a more organized way. And I see people jumping on now, but like I said, watch the pray through. I'm not gonna delete it or nothing like that. I'm gonna keep it up. I'm gonna leave it up. But like I said, that's what the purpose of that for is. So we can learn, so we can continue to learn, continue to grow, continue to advance. That way, we won't stay in the same spot. We won't be overwhelmed with stuff. We won't be continue to relive the same year over and over. Some people been living the same year since 2017. It's 2017 Omega level for them. They still learning the same lessons, still learning the same mistakes, still going through the same trial tribulation, still hadn't accomplished the same stuff. But once we grow and learn, once we reflect and correct, and go forward, your year is going to get better and better. Your experience is going to get better and better. You won't have to encounter the same stuff over and over and over and over and over. It's going to keep showing up until you fix it, until you make these changes, because some tests you can't afford to fail. Some things you can't afford to slack on. Some things you can't, he's going to keep introducing to you until you learn it. So if you want to break certain systems and cycles in your life, want to see certain changes in your life, if you don't do this, if you don't hinder, if you don't, you can hinder yourself. You can hinder certain blessings. You can hinder certain things that God's trying to get to you. If you don't learn these certain lessons have blessings on the end of them. Certain lessons can possibly cut off different cycles in your life, because you, like I said, you experience the same things over and over because you keep flunking the same tests over and over. And you gotta once you grow out of it, you're gonna go to another level. You're gonna go to different promotions. You're gonna go to different glory to glory, faith to faith. You're gonna be elevated. It's gonna be new challenges now when you get elevated now. But we don't want to keep repeating the same grade. We don't want to keep doing that. We want to try to grow. Like I say, everybody got a list. I ain't got no list. I don't have a list. I don't know. The devil lying to you. You lying right along with him. Because we all made mistakes. We all did stuff we wasn't supposed to do. We all fell short. We all had problems. We all handled situations incorrectly this year. So ain't no I did everything right. Ain't no such thing. Can't nobody say that. So that's what I'm saying. Once you like I said, once you get your list, like I said, you study it the way I told you, biblically, because it's other ways you could do it, but since this is a church group, I keep it spiritual. I'm feeding the spirit man, and and that's a good way to like I said, while you fasting or while you going on doing some soul searching journeys and things like that, while you doing it'll help you while you trying to start a new beginning. It'll help you with maybe New Year's resolutions, things that you failed to accomplish last year, you want to accomplish this year, anything like that. But this is the way you can make it happen. Because it requires a new mindset. Things don't just happen. It don't just fall. Our mindset got to change. We can't keep blaming outside sources. Our mindset. We want our life to change. Our mind got to change. Want our life to get better. Our mind got to get better. We got to outgrow these lessons. We can't keep reliving the same lesson. But that's all though. That's all I have to say though. Live for God. Believe what He say. He gonna take you a mighty long way. I pray everybody have a good New Year's Eve and a New Year's Day. And I hope y'all learned something. Hope you take this, like I said, and put it to practice. Because God showed it to me, and it blew my mind. And I wanted to get it out. Had to get that message out. I couldn't hold it in. He do that with me on a lot of stuff, but it's powerful stuff though. You take it and you reflect on it, and you make these corrections. You're gonna see some improvement, especially even throughout the year. But like I said, I love y'all. With the love of the Lord, y'all be blessed. Have a wonderful New Year.